Hi guys, Galactic Gaming here. I know I said I wasn't going to do any more build videos for a while so that I could save up to get a new PC, but my friend Stu1701 gave me the great idea to do some budget builds instead for my channel. And after seeing how well the Record EPG build did, and also the release of the Heritage Starship bundle, which one of the ships released was a very good science spearhead, I decided to combine the best of three worlds, and now I'm bringing to you the budget EPG build. Also, stick around to the end of the video because I have a very important announcement to share with you all. Now, before I get started on this build, I feel like I should probably specify what I mean by budget because everybody has their own definitions of budget. But for me, anything that is budget includes event ships, anything into the sea store, anything that you get within the anything that you can get on the exchange for under 100 million EC. I feel like those are fairly reasonable restrictions for what I can do in this build. So without any further ado, let's get into it. I did this on the Premonition Temporal Science Spearhead, which I named the USS Pretty because honestly, it's so gorgeous. Whoever imported this ship from I think it's Star Trek Armada or I think it's Star Trek Armada into Star Trek Online. They did an amazing job. This ship's just absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, enough about the ship itself. Back to what I'm put on the ship. Something you'll notice is that I did something very similar from my record EPG build, and I put it onto the budget EPG build, including, as you'll see, a Maelstrom torpedo. Now, I was going to get a second Maelstrom onto here, but I don't have the necessary upgrades for it. Also, this isn't a Maelstrom Quantum torpedo, this is the Maelstrom Trifluoride torpedo, which was from last year's Feast event, and this is the free Maelstrom that you get. The other one, the Maelstrom Quantum, only comes from the Legendary bundle. And the reason why I have it on this build is because this particular torpedo is the second most powerful torpedo in the game, after the Maelstrom Quantum. Next I have the Neutronic Torpedo Launcher, Gravimetric Photon Torpedo Launcher. Both of these come from the reputations. I think the Gravimetric Photon Torpedo comes from the Dyson reputation and the Neutronic comes from the Delta Alliance reputation. And the Particle Emission Plasma Torpedo Launcher, which is meta on most EPG builds. You can craft these once you get your torpedo R&D skill up to level 15, or you can also get them off the exchange, usually for fairly cheap. Although if you want one with the best modifiers, it's going to be really expensive. I just didn't have enough to afford it, because those do get expensive. So just do whatever modifiers you can get. For my core gear, you'll notice this is literally the exact same as my record EPG build. So I'm using the Revolutionary Deflector and the Revolutionary Shields for the two-piece, which just gives me extra crit, crit severity. Yeah, just gives me extra exotic damage crit severity. I'm just using my standard crafting secondary reflector with the EPG modifiers. I'm using the Prevailing Innovated Impulse engines, which comes from the competitive reputation, so this one should be entirely free. And I'm also using the Tholian Nucleating Warp Core, which came from the Tholian event, I think at the start of this year. Now, if you don't have any of these, because most of these are event gear, if you don't have these, don't worry, because there's actually very good, very good substitute for you. And that is the Temporal Defense Initiative set, because this old set actually used to be part of the EPG meta way back in the day, like before the Revolutionary set came out and before I even started playing the game. Yeah, this set has some really good stuff for EPG. So yeah, if you don't have any of those old event things, Temporal Reputation set's what you're going to go for. And in the after weapons, what else? A bunch of Thoron infused quantum mines. Also, in my last video on the EPG build, I did not explain where I got these quantum mines from. You can get these from the Delta Alliance. You can get these from the Delta Alliance. Yeah, you can get these from the Delta Alliance store, just in the yeah, all you have to do is just have enough dilithium to purchase them, and then you can have them. Okay, in my devices, first I've got the Kobayashi Maru transponder for the random buffs. This one is an old event thing, but this isn't entirely necessary. The phased waveform beacon. This is a mission reward from the I think it's the home mission. I think. The exotic particle flood, these batteries you can just craft, and this just gives you bonus auxiliary power and exotic damage. Reactive armor catalyst for the quick heal, and deuterium surplus for the extra speed boosts. Now, in my universal and science consoles, I'm mostly filled with these advanced science consoles, which are the exotic particle amplifiers. Now, I know that Augmented Dictator Games has said these consoles don't really do all that much damage, but honestly, if you're on a budget, these are probably your best bet for buffing your exotic damage. And the reason why is because all of these bonuses, they actually stack with each other. Oh, and one more thing, you're going to want to have the EPG modifier on this thing. Just re-rolling all of these to the EPG modifier is the one thing that slowed me down so much from making this video, because you want to know how many modifiers are on these advanced consoles? 42. I understand that the devs decided, let's make a dilithium sync of these advanced consoles. No, this is not the answer, because there's only a couple modifiers that people want, and the rest of them are utter garbage. They serve no use. Like, why would I want EPS on an exotic? Why would I want EPS, which just changes up the speed on how fast your power transfers from one system to another? Why would I want that on an EPG build? Can you go back up, engine power, please? Thank you. It's utterly ridiculous how many modifiers there are. Oh, and in the other slot, very similar, but this is completely different. The exotic particle field exciter. This I used on my record EPG build for its plus 78 exotic particle generator skill, which makes it pretty much a must-have on an EPG build. In my engineering consoles, first I've got the Dragon's Blood frame reactor, which came from last year's summer event ship, the Hyperion Intel Battlecruiser. If you don't have this console, another fire related console which you could probably do is the what's the Chekhov's console? I know I call it the arson beam, but I can't remember what. Oh, the fusion cutting beam. That also does a decent amount of fire damage, but it's also bugged right now and has been ever since release. It doesn't track its target properly, which is annoying. Yeah. Anyway, in my second engineering console, the Delphic Tear Generator, which you can get from the lockboxes, but you can usually get them when you exchange for about 5 million EC. And this is just here for its passive 20% bonus exotic damage and 5% crit severity. And pretty much exactly why I've also got the Constriction Anchor on here. Also from the lockboxes, but it's also very cheap on the exchange, and this is here for its 25.3% bonus exotic damage. In the rest of my science consoles, I've got the Subspace Fracture Tunneling Field, which comes from this year's summer event ship, the Woven Carrier, Obelisk Carrier. I cannot remember the name of that thing. I've never been good at remembering Iconian ship names. But anyway, this is here for its ability to reduce the recharge of my universal consoles by 25% every time I activate it, and also its useful hold. And 30% hold regen is also going to be very helpful, considering since we don't have the DPRM on this build, I'm going to need to focus more on my survivability. Next, I've got the Enhanced Plasma Manifold. This comes from Tier 1 Oberth, which you can get for very cheap on from the ship vendor. And this is here for its booster shield, engine, and auxiliary power, and its maximum power limits for those subsystems. And I'll get into why I'm using that in a bit. In my tactical consoles, first I'm using Adaptive Emergency Systems. I believe this comes from one of the and this comes from the engineering version of the flagship. So I cannot remember what they click on the Romulan versions, but if you're fed and you want to use it on an Odyssey from an Odyssey class, you get the Sojourner because it'll have this. Next, I've got the Protomatter Field Projector, which comes from one of the old Lucari event ships, and this is just here just as a panic button in case where I usually use DPRM for that. I can just use this instead because it's also got some pretty good regeneration stats on it. And in my last console slot, the Curie Torment Engine. This comes from one of the this comes as an episode reward. I cannot remember off the top of my head which episode it was. But this is just here just because of its increased non-hazard damage over time and its increased fire, radiation, plasma, and physical damage. And also its ability to deal even more fire damage whenever I use non-hazard damage over time's effect. For my captain specializations, first I'm running Intel Primary in order to gain access to space flanking, and Temporal Secondary to gain access to Entropic Rider, plus the plus 50 exotic particle generator skill bonus. In my traits, first I've got A Good Day to Die, which just allows me to just go down fighting at any whole percentage. Context is for Kings, which gives you either damage resistance rating or bonus damage, depending on if it took damage or not in the past second. Enlightened for the extra exotic damage and hull regeneration. Inspirational leader, which gives me a chance to improve most of my staff skills by 10 for 15 seconds, which can stack up to 3 times. Particle manipulator, which comes from the leveling up your science R&D to level 15, which improves my criticals for exotic damage. So currently I've got a plus 50 critical hit chance for my exotic damage abilities and plus 45.5 critical hit severity for such things. Regenerative control synergy. This comes as an episode reward from one of the Iconian war missions. I cannot remember which one it is. But whenever I activate a control British officer ability, this gives me plus 45% hull regeneration for 10 seconds. Resonating payload modification, just for stacking kinetic and physical damage debuff. Hot pursuit, which doubles the chase distance of mines from 3.5 to 7 kilometers. Superior projectile training, which you can get from any of the fleet, which you can get from your K-13 fleet holding. Terran targeting systems, which gives me extra crit severity, but if I get critically hit, I get slowed down. And of course, unconventional systems. Using a control bridge officer's ability gives me extra recharge to my universal consoles. Now, for my starship traits, this was actually very hard to find because there's actually not a whole lot that is in the Seesaw or in the event ship trait slot that actually buffs EPG skills. So first thing I've got here is Checkmate, which comes from the science version of the flagships. Whenever I activate a control bridge officer ability, I get plus 30 exotic damage and plus 30 projectile weapon damage for 15 seconds. 5 magics, which comes from the Hyperion Intel Battlecruiser. Whenever I deal fire, cold, electrical radiation, or psionic damage, I get extra engine power and bonus damage to said damage types and also disruptor. Threaded particle projectors, which comes from the Chekhov Intel Science warship. Whenever I use an Intel or Science Bridge officer ability, I get extra EPG skill. Adaptive tactical algorithms, which comes from the oh god, what's it called? The Cyclone. It comes from the Cyclone Inhibitor Patrol Escort. Whenever I use a specialization ability, in this case I'm only using Temporal, I'm going to get plus 20% increased damage and plus 50% exotic particle generation. Weaponized exotic particles, which comes from my favorite ship in the game, the Trailblazer Science warship. Whenever I activate a weapon firing mode, which can include torpedo spread or mine dispersal beta, I get plus 75% EPG skill. Onboard dilithium recrystallizer, which is a trait which you can get from the Infinity lockboxes, although it's very cheap on the exchange since it's not bound to a ship. Whenever I use an engineering or bridge officer ability, it adds power to the subsystem's lease and also gives bonus damage from maxed out subsystems. This is why I'm using the Tier 1 O-Berth console, the Enhanced Plasma Manifold, because if I use that and one of my registered power abilities, I'll get plus 30% bonus damage because I'll have my auxiliary engines and shields power up to maximum. And finally, exotic modulation, which comes from the Kronos Temporal Dreadnought, which is one of the 29th century time ships which you can get from the sea store. And whenever I activate a temporal bridge officer ability, I just get plus 20% bonus exotic damage for 15 seconds. For my space reputation slots, first I got advanced targeting systems for the extra crit severity, auxiliary power configuration offense for the bonus damage based on my auxiliary power level and the accuracy rating, which honestly that last bit isn't really helpful at all. Ties duality for the extra crit chance based on my hull capacity. Precision, which just gives me straight up extra crit chance. And controlled countermeasures, which gives you bonus energy weapon and projectile damage against controlled targets. And for my active space reputation, anti-time entanglement singularity, biomolecular shield generator, deploy sensor interference platform, quantum singularity manipulation, and refracting tetragon cascade is pretty much the usual on all of my builds, and probably should also be running them too. For my bridge officer stations, I've got structural analysis 1 and charge particle burst 1 in order for me to spread my secondary deflector damage, which is going to do a great deal of my damage. Photonic officer 2 for my cooldowns. Now you may have noticed I was not using improved photonic officer, and that's because it comes from a low buy store ship, which also means I won't be able to use the boiler effect, which is also from the low buy. And since I don't have any Revolve GD officers, and since Ox to Bat builds out of question because I need auxiliary power right where it is, I'm kind of hard stuck for a cooldown management. So if you are going to do this build, I implore you to be able to use get at least the boiler effect. That way you won't be stuck with the cooldowns as I am. Photonic Officer 2 is pretty good, but you will need something else to fully supplement your cooldowns. Yeah. In my tactical seat, I've got Cuban Lace Weaponry 1, Mind Dispersal Beta 1, and Torpedo Spread 3. This is the exact same setup as I had on my record EPG build on Vashekov, and I've explained why I used all of those in that video, so go check it out there. In my engineering scene, I'm using Emergency Powered Engines 1 and Emergency Powered Auxiliary 2, because those are really the only things in the engineering specialization that will actually help me in an EPG build. In my Commander Science / Temporal seat, I've got Heisenberg Amplifier 1, Chronometric Conversion Field 1, and Recursive Shearing 3. These are all my temporal triggers for one of my traits, Adaptive Technical Algorithms. And I've also got Gravity Well 1 just to group my enemies up a bit closer. And in my Instant Science seat, I've also got Tractor Beam 1 to help with unconventional systems. In my Duty Officer slots, I've just got my usual three crit severity guys for my projectiles. Hagath, which gives me extra survivability whenever I use a science ability. I've got the emergency con hologram to improve the recharge of evasive maneuvers whenever I activate emergency powered engines, and his rod, which has a chance to create aftershock gravity wells. Actually, now when I'm thinking about it, I probably should have replaced this guy with someone else, because what's the point of having more than one gravity well if I'm not using spore and fuse anomalies? That's a mistake. I probably should have replaced him with something else, but I don't know what else I could have replaced him with. Oh well, you can just replace this guy with whoever you want on with your build. I probably should have replaced him with this guy, the Space Warfare Specialist, so it increases my damage against the Borg. That's what I should have done. Oh well, too late now. So, now that I've shown you the build to you, let me take it for a run of IC, and then I'll show you the pass. Stay tuned!
Scanning the nanite transformer. Gun. Additional ignites available.
Surrender your vessel and prepare for assimilation.
slow passing teammates, the server's lagging to all hell, and I still managed to get 385k DPS on this thing. That is kind of impressive. This budget build is... I did not expect the budget build to do nearly this much damage. Could I do better? Yes, of course I could have. There's always room to improve, but let's go look at the past now. And as we look down, first we see deteriorating secondary deflector did 85k DPS, and literally 1k underneath that, Breath of the Dragon with 84. Those two, I predicted those two were going to be my main damage dealers, and I was not disappointed. Then underneath that, strangely, Gravity Well 1, not even the Aftershock Gravity, but straight up Gravity Well 1 did that. Underneath that, we got the Thoron Quantum Mine, then the Maelstrom Trifluoride Torpedo Spread 3. Again, you're not going to get nearly as much out of torpedoes unless you are supported or, you know, most of your shield targets down. But since I'm firing off that spread, like, literally right at the very start, I'm not going to be hitting any unshielded targets, so should really change that up. Delphic Tear and Particle Emission Plasma Cloud did 11k. I'm not sure whose Agony Redistributor I stole, but apparently I got 11k from the Gateway and the Nanite Transformer. And then some more Thorium-infused Quantum Mines also doing 11k. Underneath that, I got Fakiri Torment at 9k, Chronometric Conversion Field also at 9k, and the Gravimetric Rift from the Gravimetric Photon Torpedo at 6k, another 6k from the Thorium Warp Crystal Detonate, and 5k from the Entropic Radar, 5k from Tractor Beam, and apparently I stole even more Agony Redistributor from, what do you call it, the Ball Cube. Then we got Neutronic Torpedo, which somehow did even more damage than the spread version of that, so yeah, I gotta look into that. So, that was my budget EPG build. Hope you guys enjoy making this build on your own and taking it out, because I honestly really want more people to be able to start using EPG, because at this point I feel like it's probably the most neglected DPS type in the game. Oh, before I go, very important announcement, I am nearing 100 subscribers, so to show my gratitude and for all of you supporting me, I will be running a giveaway on my Discord for when I reach 100 subscribers, where I'll be giving away 100 master keys. All you'll have to do is just click the red party horn in the giveaways channel. I'll link my Discord down below. And whenever I reach 100 subscribers, the giveaway will be lasting for 2 weeks. At the end of it, if you do win, I'll DM you, and you'll just have to send me over your character details so I could mail it to you in-game. Sorry, console players, this giveaway is PC only. But anyway, let me know what you thought of this build, and remember to like, subscribe, it really does help my channel. Anyway, my name is Galactic Gaming. Stay cute. Until next time, keep having fun. See ya.